time, and so you sort of scroll, you pull the QuickTime across, and it shows a lengthening and a shortening thing. And then I was asked, okay, pick a frame, and that's going to be it. So I was like, that's fine, I guess. So it was like that. Not that I have a problem with that or anything. That's like, not that I'm weirded out by it, but not that I'm excited by it. It's fine. Fine line. But yes, so there, you have it. Yeah.
Just broadening out a little bit. When I was visiting on set, since we are in the Apple Store, I thought it was fascinating that one of the days I was on set that everywhere I went there was a little sign, whether it was on the camera, on your desk, saying "Leopard has landed." Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Could this movie have been done on anything other than America? Yeah.
There's a great, our video assist guy who works, if you know anything about when you make a movie, there's like, you have your monitors that show what the camera's filming, and there's a guy who operates those, who records the take and then plays it back, and manages all the monitors, and we all were, pretty Mac savvy group, and we all, all of us have Macs and everything, but he, is obsessed with Mac. Like he's like, it's the keynote today. When we were reshooting, he's like, the keynote's today. And I'm like, what? He's like, the keynote's today. We should just stop for a minute. Shouldn't we stop filming and just make sure, what Steve's saying? It was pretty intense. And so I say, well, I don't know. And he was the one that, he would know exactly what was coming all the time, as far as products and stuff. That's what kept us all very much in. He was our tech guru, and he's awesome. So if you ever run into him, Dave Joshi, he's awesome.
Now, it's actually you when you approach the movie, right, you have to approach all these different characters, and you stuck really close to the costume design in a lot of ways. How did designing Dr. Manhattan differ from how you looked at Night Owl, or apart from the technology, just in terms of the approach to the character?
I think it came from the book, 99%. It's just like, Dave drew pretty much a, classic superhero body on Manhattan. I mean, he's pretty yoked up and pretty huge, but when you translate that into sort of, when you make it real, physical, and it's got an intense detail, you end up with, real skin and real muscle, and so I think that's just the process of making something real. Is actually it becomes physical. So you have to really say, where all the muscles kind of overlap and stuff. That's the thing. I mean, he wouldn't be fat. Dr. Manhattan's got no body fat, right? Like he doesn't. It's like he can make himself anything he wants. So. He's not going to make himself pudgy. I don't think. Maybe, yeah. It's like, does this please you more? Does this make you more comfortable? He might have done that. Yeah. No, it's fine. So yeah, I think that was as far as design goes. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I think that there was a choice with the comic book. You could have made him look a little bit more like a Silver Surfer or something. He was very drawn in this kind of smooth fashion, and that's what a lot of the tests we were doing early on. The more we added a level of human realism to it, like skin pores, and Doc will notice the shots he's covered with peach fuzz, like just little tiny hairs over his body and eyelashes and everything. We realized the more we added that stuff, the more realistic he looks, and therefore the better he sat into the scene. So I think if we tried to go a lot more stylized than we did, I don't know if it would have been as successful as it was.
Yeah, he just ends up being less emotional if he's just some blue, like, amorphous figure that has no. You can't see his humanity. I think that was a big part of it. Was when you look at him in extreme close-up, you can see that he's, was a man, and that I think that's important to who he is.
Discuss a little bit the decision about the eyes. In terms of whether they're really representative of the comic here in a lot of ways, but was there any concern about emotionally conveying the character using the eyes that way?
Yeah, it was a big deal. We were afraid that with white eyes, he would be just like looking blank all the time, like a zombie or something. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's actually really great when that happens. If you look really closely, though, he does have, you know, he has teeny pupils in there. So, for instance, when you get super close and if you need a little emotion, you can we have the ability to kind of screw it back ever so slightly. And you can see his eyes moving around.
I think that there are key moments in the movie, in particular, where he teleports into the headquarters and he notices Silver Spectre for the first time. And there's just a shot of him, and Billy did the performance, and he didn't move his head, he just moved his eyes ever so suddenly to notice him. And so we had to have some kind of indication of eye direction, otherwise you would have to have moved the head or something. But again, that would have been changing his performance, which is the subtlety of it was important. So we had, like Zach was saying, there was a fall off to the eyes, and the eyes were actually a light source. So you'll also notice him moving it. When he blinks, it's almost like shutters closing on a light. You see the light that was cast on the inside of the bridge of his nose goes out and it comes back on. So it was definitely an important thing to have that eye direction be an aspect of the character.
I think too, the thing I liked about it was if you got far away from him, you really did look like a graphic novel. It did look kind of and gave it that 50-50 extreme close-up shot where you go right up to his face. You can actually see that detail moving inside. So you do have a layer, actually a volume inside that moves around and sort of are not cosmic power inside, I guess. You can see the
Yeah, inside his eyes, it's like, if you look really closely, it's like some swirling galaxies and all sorts of craziness. We went a little crazy. It was, no one will ever know this.
Should we take some questions?
Sure.
Anybody got any questions?
Can you take a monitor and
Sure.
As far as some of the other character design, I know like
actually don't need
Night Owl, this is like years after their prime. I know that was kind of big in the comic. They were a little touchy. They were a little. Silver Spectre was hot as anything. Is that just sort of a natural
translation for Hollywood that we kind of had to make the Watchmen be a little bit sexier?
A little bit, but I think that the metaphors, you know, I really went after as much as I could, like, because in Watchmen, you know, like, in the comic book, the characters are all symbolic and they're all metaphors in their own way, right? They all, whether you're Silver Spectre or Night Owl as being a Batman-esque character, like what, you know, he's overweight, but within the aesthetic of comic books, 25 years later, people have said to me like, oh, but, you know, the costumes look too cool in the movie, like they're cheesy in the graphic novel. I'm like, yeah, but 25 years ago, when the comic book was written, they were stock superheroes. They weren't cheesy. I mean, he was overweight. The irony was that he was overweight, not that his costume was bad. So it's a fine line. Like I don't want him to be like as slick as, say, Dark Knight, you know, Batman, where it's just like, you know, I come from the future. I have, you know, a defense company built my outfit, and then it got lost, and then I found it again. You know what I mean? It's like where it's completely explained, like, oh, okay, that's real, like that someone made that. But on the other hand, but I wanted it to look like it could function, but not miss the symbolism that it was supposed to be, like what he was trying. Like, you know, Patrick actually, you know, the suit kind of binds him in, but like when he let it loose, he kind of got kind of fat for the movie, which was cool. You know, everyone else was trying to train, and he was just eating shakes all the time. Does that make any sense? Yeah.